Coming to you from the depths of the galaxy, bringing you hot takes, hot news, and spicy discussions about games. We are the Uneducated Gamers! This episode is brought to you by GalaxyGameTV.com and Shipping Shield, creator of the cardboard top loader alternative, environmentally safe shipping card protection made in the USA. Go to shippingshieldus.com for more details. What's up, everybody? This is the Uneducated Gamers Podcast, and I'm Chris.
I'm Michael.
And we are back with another action-packed Warhammer episode with Mike on the mic to talk about his things. But before that, Mike, let's do some quick hit of the news.
In today's news, Star Wars Jedi Survivor Steam reviews are being negative review bombed as players slam performance issues on their machines.
I mean, they kind of have anxiety about the performance issues, right?
Yeah, the game is not doing well. Reportedly, it is doing well on a large subset of machines, but on the machines that it's not working, it's completely unplayable. And people are once again taking to Reddit to lament about buggy releases.
Yeah, I mean, Reddit is that cesspool of fun nonsense that I just don't really subscribe to. And they don't subscribe to me, so that's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah, I mean, Jedi Survivor, honestly, is in some circles is a very buggy mess. There are plenty of videos out there showcasing the issues. Can't deny it. There's a lot of unfortunate scenarios going on out there, especially with high-end PC hardware.
Next up, the Mario movie breaks $1 billion worldwide, marking the first 2023 movie to break $1 billion at box office. Congratulations! It was a great movie. I loved it.
You know what's funny is we saw it really early on when it came out, and I know probably a half dozen people that are actually going to go see it this week.
For the first time.
For the first time, yeah. It's crazy to think about how many people have actually sort of continued to go see this movie. I mean, I've seen some people that I follow on Twitter have gone and see it 3 times now.
It's fun. It's a fun movie to sit through.
Yeah.
And really, really satisfying to see on the big screen.
Yeah, and if anyone is interested on our thoughts on the Super Mario Brothers movie and all the different egglies, as I think we called them, right? Or nugglies.
Yeah, I talked us down from the edge of nugglies.
You can I will put a link in this episode to that episode if you want to check that one out.
Speaking of the Mario movie, you may not have to go to a theater to see it because somebody taking advantage of one of the recent Twitter changes by Elon Musk, where Twitter Blue subscribers have access to long-form video content on their channels, or accounts, whatever they're called on Twitter. Somebody uploaded the entirety of the Mario Brothers movie to their Twitter, and a bunch of people have already watched it free on Twitter.
Yeah, this is a punch in the face to Twitter of some of their practices and some of the layoffs that they've had over time, of really just not people doing the job that needs to happen in policing this kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's an unfortunate scenario, but I mean it's just it is the world that we live in. Here's the thing. This is the first movie that I've heard about being on Twitter Blue, and maybe that's just because I live in a rock or under a rock and don't know anything. But this is the first time I've ever heard of a movie getting posted on Twitter Blue in its entire length. So I would say I would call this out as almost like a nod to Nintendo and Illumination of putting out a work that is worthy of such acts.
Sure, yeah, we can spin it that way. Elon Musk's complete inability to be a good boss. Nintendo making a good movie that people want to pirate.
There you go.
It's both. It can be two things.
It can be two
It
things.
can be two things. Our main topics this week, the reveals from Warhammer Fest 2023 in Manchester recently.
Which you stayed up at like 3 a.m. to watch, right?
I did. I wanted to watch it live. I could have watched it recorded at a decent hour on Twitch, because Twitch keeps those videos for a while, and I did that for the Age of Sigmar stuff and some of the ancillary products. But for the 40K, I got up at 3 a.m. I set an alarm. I bugged my wife. She didn't watch it with me.
Did you watch it in bed so that way you made sure you bugged her the whole time?
No. I went downstairs and turned on my PC, so I was a gracious husband.
So, so first off, other than you being a part of this 3 a.m. watch party of one, or did anyone join you? Like, was it just yourself?
It was just me.
Okay.
No one seemed to want to watch it with me on Discord. So.
Okay. So the watch party of one. What are some of the top things? Like, what are these top things that you kind of discern out of the reveals?
Well, the biggest thing was the Warhammer 10th Warhammer 40K 10th edition launch box. They showed off the entire box. They did end up in a QA a question and answer session talking about how much the box is going to cost, yada yada. They went through some more data sheets, explained a little more how unit powers work. There were tables set up at Warhammer Fest so people could play like through a couple rounds of a live game. The rules were massaged a little bit. They had a game master just to keep things moving, so it wasn't a perfect representation of what to expect. But there was gameplay being shown off at Warhammer Fest as well.
Gotcha. And so oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
So I guess from the gameplay side of things, right? Like, what are some things that piqued your interest that you saw, or if anything at all?
The biggest change is the psychic phase is completely gone. So for those of you who are into Warhammer and know how that works, for the last couple of editions at least, the way that the turn phases have worked is you got your command phase. It's like your upkeep in Magic. Then you got movement, where you move your pieces on the board. And then there's 3 successive combat phases, where you have psychic attacks and psychic powers go first. Then you have a shooting phase where everyone gets their guns off. And then you have a melee combat phase. That psychic phase is completely gone. It's being reworked in 10th edition. So instead, there's going to be some psychic powers will basically still be attacks, and they're listed on your data sheet as a ranged attack. So they'll go off during the ranged attack phase as a psychic ranged attack. For the rest of the psychic abilities that are like buffs or debuffs or somehow affect the board outside of attacking models, they'll act more like hero powers that you can activate at the appropriate time in the turn, similar to the way that Marvel Crisis Protocol handles it.
Got it. Okay.
The other big thing is that Armor Pierce is being debuffed pretty much on everybody. They're reeling that in. So you're not going to be able to, like, one-shot tanks anymore if you have, like, a good armor-piercing gun. And also, on top of that, they're reworking the toughness scale, where they're increasing the top end of unit toughnesses, especially in vehicles. So, again, for tanks, they'll have closer to, like, toughness 7 to 10 more on the regular, whereas your infantry units will be in, like, 2 to 5.
So and that's just, and I might have missed it, and I'm sorry if I did, and sorry to the listeners if I did. So the box that you're talking about, like the different things that you're talking about, that's the Leviathan.
Leviathan.
Yeah.
Yep. That's the lunch box.
And it features Space Marines and Tyranids, which that's gonna make you excited.
Oh yeah, I love Tyranids. I love Tyranids a lot. But I think I'm gonna get to the 40K stuff last, just because there's a lot to talk about there.
Oh, okay, sorry. No, go
and
ahead.
I wanna breeze through the Age of Sigmar stuff and some of the other reveals that were made, including Old World, which I thought was very interesting. And then
What's
I'll
Old
end
World?
on Old World is the canon, as I understand it, the real life canon of Games Workshop and their fantasy side. You had Warhammer Fantasy, which I can't remember if it was called Old World at the time or if it was just called Warhammer Fantasy, but it was the Elves and Swords division of the game instead of the future sci-fi division of the game, which was always 40K. That was going for several years, back in the really early days, and then they decided to end the story in some sort of cataclysmic event, some fight with chaos that destroyed everything, and completely reboot their fantasy side into what is now Age of Sigmar. So they rebooted their Warhammer Fantasy canon into Age of Sigmar, got new factions, kind of rewrote the rules a little bit, and kind of just started that whole section over again. And a lot of the people were really mad about that because they were invested in the original Old World Warhammer Fantasy stuff, and now their models and their factions are basically null and void.
Ah, okay.
As of late, it sounds like, or looks like, they're trying to bring back some of that to kind of appeal to those people who were playing way back in the day. So in Warhammer Fest this year, they showed off a couple new models for their what they're calling Warhammer Old World. They've got a couple of heroes, one from a faction called the Tomb Kings, and one from a faction called Bretonia, which is very obviously, it's Britain versus the Egypt zombies. Egyptian zombies seems to be a theme amongst Warhammer stuff. They have a lot of Egyptian zombie factions.
Egyptian zombie seems interesting and weird all at the same time.
It's unique visually, right? It's a very specific aesthetic. That's when you have a visual based game, because you're making models, it's easy to separate it from a faction. So that's probably why they have it.
Right.
But yeah, so they've got a Tomb King of, I'm gonna butcher this name, Nehekhara, Tomb King of Nehekhara, who is a cool looking mummy guy with a big hat and a staff.
Okay.
And then
So real quick, I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna give you another thing to think about, Mike.
yeah,
You see that ukulele behind me?
yeah.
I would totally put this model where that ukulele is.
Okay. Now keep in mind, you keep saying that you want some big centerpiece model to put on your shelf. A lot of these are really small.
Oh, are they?
Couple
Okay.
inches, yeah. Yeah, these aren't going to be like the Chaos Knights where it's like a Nerf football.
Okay.
These are going to be like meant to be in a squad. But I mean, if you like it, we'll get one and we'll paint one up for you.
No,
It does look really cool.
It does. It looks really cool. Actually, what it looks like is so just to relate it back to video games, right? And I'll put the graphic on this into our website. And I guess it fits that world, but Odyssey, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. So like
Oh, sure.
you know, that kind of era, like that. As soon as I saw that, I immediately thought of that. So I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's it's an Egyptian mummy with a khopesh and a staff. Yeah, and then you've got the Bretonian Paladin, who looks like pagan era British Knight Templar with antlers, and apparently there's an alternate sculpt where the helmet's off, and you could just have the Bretonian guy in there. But if you notice, he's got his stance there with his sword plunged into the orc skull,
Yeah.
which is pretty neat.
It's like kind of like doing like a Souls-like stance there.
Yep, very cool. And because it's meant to be old fantasy, square bases. Back in the old days of Warhammer, when they still had square bases.
So let me ask this offshoot question. Did they give a reason or thought process of why square bases and such, or is it just something they decided to do?
I don't know the exact reason.
Okay.
One thing I do know is that square bases, if you're designing a game around like rank and file combat, where you're focused around like units of soldiers,
Uh-huh.
it's easier to move them as a unit if they're on square bases,
Oh, okay. Okay.
because like you can kind of like push them together into like one big rectangle.
Right. Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay.
It does make sense. I personally prefer round bases, and I couldn't give you exactly why. But there is some amount of practicality to square bases.
Well, I think aesthetically speaking, if you look at the models that are square bases, they're more compact. They more present as a compact unit as
Yeah.
opposed to the square. You kind of have more useless surface area.
It makes it difficult to Warhammer is a game that cares about like the size and specific like the size of your base and the specific orientation of it. Because you have to interact with terrain, you have to do things like you can move only so far. You have auras that affect things that are so far, and that kind of calculation is way easier to do on a round base.
Right. Got it. Okay.
Now I'm gonna move up a little bit to the next probably next least interesting part, which is all of the sub games, your war cries, your oh god, I lost my place in the notes. Ba, ba, ba. Did I delete this stuff about Warcry and Kill Team and stuff? I guess I don't have notes for that. That's okay. There wasn't a ton in there. There was some cool. There was another box set for the Weird Hollow Underworlds one that had some Goosty Goalie skeletons in them.
Oh, yeah.
And I think Kill Team otherwise basically just had like we showed off that Voton Kill Team stuff in a different episode, and I think they finally had a launch box for that.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
It wasn't a ton. It was cool stuff, but it wasn't a ton. So I will move up now to Age of Sigmar. Now, Age of Sigmar had quite a bit because that's their primo fantasy offshoot. I'll try not to spend too much time on it, but there's some cool stuff here. Age of Sigmar is apparently starting and releasing a new series of campaign books called Dawnbringers. And they just showed off the first Dawnbringer book called Harbinger with this really cool Maggotkin of Nurgle herald on the front. This
Wait, hold
really Nazgul looking guy.
Hold on. Did I just hear you say Nurgle? Wait, what did you just say?
Maggotkin of Nurgle.
Maggotkin of Nurgle. Okay.
Nurgle being the god of pestilence and decay. His
It.
faction in Sigmar is called the Maggotkin.
Okay. Got it. All right. Just want to make sure I have that
of
right.
maggots. And along with the release of this first campaign book, they showed off 4 hero models. So these are just 4 like standalone models that they have also written armies of renown for. So basically special detachments that say you can take this model and some related models, and it runs it as like a concentrated sub faction.
Okay.
Which I think all the rules for that is going to be in this book, if I understood correctly. So it's just fluffy stuff to go along with the campaign that they're trying to push in Sigmar. So the 4 models that they released, or spoiled anyway, they're coming out soon, is this first one is the Harbinger of Decay, which is the Maggotkin of Nurgle one. This guy is absolutely sick, and we need something like this in 40k. It's beautiful. I can't decide if I like the Scythe or the Bell better.
I'm looking at. So sorry. Which one?
Right at the top of the Age of Sigmar section in the notes here, he's a Nazgul-looking horseman rider with a scythe.
Oh, sorry. I was looking. I was actually in the wrong place. I was in Horus Heresy. Okay, cool. Yeah, this thing is wicked, man. That bell. That's pretty neat.
That bell's neat. Then Flesh Eater Courts, which I believe is like the vampire ghouls faction in Age of Sigmar, they got a hero called the Marrow Scroll Herald, who's got this double-sided bone sword looking thing.
It's like straight out of Castlevania.
Yep. That whole faction basically looks like that. It's a Castlevania type faction. The Fire Slayers, which is a faction of dwarves, got the Grimhold Exile. Big red-haired mohawk beard guy, double wielding some warhammers. And then the Gloomspite Gits, which is goblins, they got a Rabble Rouser, which is this little guy surrounded by squigbats, and I believe he is wearing an orc skull as a shirt.
Oh, yes. Now I see it. I see it. Yes, you're a skull and spine. You see the spine.
Oh, yeah.
Down the back. Yeah. That's, wow, these things are just, like, super detailed. I like them.
Oh, yeah. I love it. I love the Sigmar. I don't play Sigmar, but their models are almost always better than 40k models, which is really sad because I prefer 40k.
Now, are these typically like larger models, or are they still like smaller models?
It's the same scale.
Okay.
It's the same scale. Outside of the campaign book and the related hero models, there were also a couple of spoilers for just the normal, a couple other normal Sigmar reveals. So one is a unit for the cities of Sigmar, which is in the process of getting what I believe to be an entire range refresh. Is the Free Guild Cavaliers, a unit of horse-drawn knights with banners and lances and swords. I posted a picture of one of them, but there was like 4 or 5 in the unit. They all had slightly different loadouts and armor.
I really like the detail on the flag pole, like the flag post or whatever that is. I'm assuming that's a flag post, right?
Yeah.
For the faction, the detail that goes into some of these are it's just incredible what they do.
Absolutely. Some of the 40k Space Marine stuff gets some pretty cool banners and things like that too.
I mean, again, I'm not like fully, enthralled into the Warhammer world, but like what you kind of have done for me here is sort of, and I hope for some of our listeners, is really bring us into kind of, I think just, if at anything, the appreciation of having a really cool model, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's just, if nothing else, it's beautiful to look at.
Yeah, exactly. And appreciating the effort that goes into these. Like, these aren't, this isn't small potatoes by any stretch of the imagination.
They showed off the Golden Demon winners at Warhammer Fest, which was the, if you recall correctly, the contest for painters.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
and there was some beautiful stuff in there. Like, I don't understand how you shade that well. Shading paint is, like, complete craziness to me.
Layering, man. Layering. I mean, that some of the things, and I've been watching a lot of videos about painting models, because, I think for the audience's benefit who have not listened to some of the other episodes that we've done, but I recently picked up a supply crate, if you will, of supplies to build some Warhammer, and I'm starting with something kind of dear to my heart that's football related, because I love football. But the what is it, Blood Bowl?
Blood Bowl,
yeah. And after watching a lot of videos of just like kind of just trying to understand what it takes to actually do some of these things, I'm like, oh man, do I have enough time in the day to do one of these things? Like, I applaud the effort and the time for the folks who do this, and it's a true artistry in that.
Absolutely. The final model they showed off for Age of Sigmar was for the Iron Jaws, which is a sub-faction of orcs. They called it the Maw Grunter. This guy... Now, this is a big model. This is actually a big boy model, with this orc riding his giant hog.
That is sweet. Like, that's like... Yeah, that is... I can imagine it's pretty gigantic, and I don't know if I could put it where that ukulele is, but I would be gladly try to find a place to put that sucker.
I've got some homework for you, Chris. Without knowing very much at all about the different factions in either Sigmar or 40k, I want you to like come up with like a bullet points of like 3 to 5 points of like what your ideal model would be if you could make something up in your head.
I
I want to try to find something that matches that.
all jokes aside, I think my biggest attachment is to a lot of the Space Marine stuff. Like that's where I'm at. Like I'm more into that mech human kind of like deal. Now I do like some of this stuff, but I guess to be appealing to be on a shelf where I'm not going to offend somebody walking into my office, I would generally play it more safe in that way, if you know what I mean.
I mean, I don't think there would be any sort of model that would be offensive.
Well, if people are like, oh, there's this rabble rouser that's got a orc head on itself, I'd be like, yeah, okay.
You and I have very different levels of offense.
No.
You were like, what could be an offensive a Warhammer model? Maybe like the Slanesh Demon Herald that's playing a harp made out of people.
So I guess where I'm going with it, right, is it's more or less people who don't understand what Warhammer is, and how do I explain to them to that? Like I would have, it'd be like, Lucy, you have some explaining to do.
That's the neat part. You don't. That's it. I'm getting you a great unclean one.
I figured you would go there. No. But honestly, the two places that I like, or the two like, directions I like is I've really appreciate the Horus Heresy stuff because it kind of like brings me into like medieval / Star Warsy kind of feeling. I know that's a weird description, but that's how I describe it. And then Space Marines, just because I grew up knowing what Space Marines were, and I don't know a lot more beyond that,
Okay. So you're like, when Space Marines most approach their, like, Knights of the Round Table aesthetic.
Yes.
Okay. So you want to play either Dark Angels or Black Templar. Got it.
And the last thing that would be on my list would be anything elves. So dark elves, wood elves, or anything like that.
All right. I'll find something. We'll get you something for your birthday there coming up.
Now, by any means, I'm not advocating that you have to get me anything for my birthday. My point is...
I'm gonna.
Okay. Well...
I'm gonna. I can't just not let you have this addiction.
You'll have to explain it to my wife.
Revel with me in the dual addiction of MTG and Warhammer.
Oh, man.
Anyway, they also posted the 2023 roadmap for Age of Sigmar, which is kind of nice. This goes up through winter of 2023. We've got the Seraphon. So in the summer releases, we've got the Seraphon. It's not called a Codex. It's called a Battle Tome in Sigmar, which we already knew was coming. I think it's officially released because the Seraphon launch box just came out. My buddy picked up one of those. That looks pretty solid. Then you've got the Dawnbringers book, the Harbingers, is coming out also in summer. A new General's Handbook, which I think is a Core Rules update. I don't remember for sure. Age of Sigmar General's Handbook. Yes, it's a quarterly update. They call them data slates in 40k. This is going to be like points changes and rule fixes and things like that.
Got it.
Then there's a lot more going on in autumn and winter where they say, hey, there's stuff coming, but we're not prepared to tell you what it is yet.
Isn't that the way it always is?
Uh-huh. So it looks like Cities of Sigmar Battle Tome is coming out, which is great because that'll go along with those cool knights that we saw. Book 2 of the Dawnbringers. I can't actually see what that third one is. Is that book 3 of the Dawnbringers? I think that's what that is. With no
Uh,
title or anything, but it does have, so book 2 of the Dawnbringers with an imprint of an orc skull on it.
yeah. And the third
And
one, they don't have an imprint of
they
anything
don't have
yet.
anything at all. It's
No.
just a blank page, but it says book 3 of the Dawnbringers. Winter then has book 4 of the Dawnbringers, again with no sort of hint as to what the content's going to be. And then, why did I... My thing is not loading the image very correctly, but there's one more book there in the winter that I am having a hard time pulling up on screen. Well, anyway, there's something else coming in the winter. We don't know what it is.
Yeah, so I don't know. It looks like almost like an eye with a hammer kind of thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think there's any words on that book. Just an image of a hammer with an eye.
Yeah, but they didn't say anything in the
They didn't. They showed this image
Okay.
and they did not elaborate. Maybe they went further in like a Q&A session. I didn't watch the Q&A stuff.
Okay. Got it.
Getting a little closer into the 41st millennium then, let's talk about the Horus Heresy. There was just a couple of things showed off here, but one that's a very big deal to me. So the Horus Heresy, we talked a few episodes ago about how they've got this Siege of Chthonia campaign book that they releasing. And in Warhammer Fest, they showed off 2 new models that are apparently the protagonists or the main characters that are struggling against each other in that Siege of Chthonia book. So you've got this Sons of Horus guy named Veheren Ashuradan, and this Imperial Fists character named Evander Garius. And those got some just cool generic Space Marine character models. Looks pretty sick. I don't know who either of these characters are because I'm not that familiar with Heresy.
Are you planning on getting into Horus Heresy, or like, because I know you mentioned before that like some of the models and some of the things that have been happening that you thought maybe that would be something you'd be interested in.
Maybe. I personally usually find Space Marines to be the least interesting part of 40k, and Horus Heresy is largely Space Marine on Space Marine action. It's the Civil War. So I
So
could, but I probably won't.
so why do you find that? And not to get into a tangent, but I'm just, if you can sum it up, like what is, for somebody who doesn't necessarily know Warhammer as much as you do, what is it about Space Marines that kind of just like, turns you off?
It's not even necessarily that they turn me off. Like I like the aesthetic, but it's like playing a human fighter in D&D, right? It's just boring. Like, okay, you're a Space Marine, you've got some flaws to make your faction interesting, but you're just kind of the box art poster boy. Meanwhile, I could play Tyranids, the unknowable hive mind insectoid entity that wants to consume all biomass. That seems way more interesting. And I get to kill Space Marines. Who doesn't want to kill Space Marines?
Well,
If you have any fantasies about ending humanity, play 40k.
okay, I got you.
I joke, mostly.
You kid.
I kid. But the biggest thing, in my opinion, from the Horus Heresy reveals was plastic Cerastus frame knights. I talked about this as a rumor from Adepticon, and they didn't say anything, but now they're here. We get a Cerastus Knight Lancer coming out in plastic.
What is that like? Why is that prominent?
So, you remember, so I play Chaos Knights. I've showed you some of those, right?
Yeah.
The Chaos Knights, you have the War Dogs, which is the Armigers, which is the Imperial Knight version, and you've got some of the taller, not Questoris frame. Anyway, it doesn't matter. You basically got 2 different frames for Knights. That's what's available in plastic. That's what's officially supported in the core part of the game. Then you have Forge World, the place where all the really expensive resin-only special sculpts are, and that's where you have a whole bunch of different Cerastus frame knights like this one, and some Questoris frame knights that are all like $500 a pop. So what
Oh,
this means is some of these Forge World Knights are coming to plastic now, and they're going to be made available for not $400 a pop to just add to your army.
got it. Okay. But like what do you project the price swing to be there on that?
I'm going to guess it's going to be roughly similar to um probably like the Knight Tyrant, which is it's got like a bigger, fatter frame. I think the equivalent in Imperial Knights is the Knight Dominus, but it's like a big, wide thing that's just got a bunch of turrets on it, and that kit's about $175.
Okay.
I think that would be my best guess as to what this thing would end up being. This Knight Lancer. Could be as low as 150, which is what like the Abominant and the Rampager go for, or 175, which is like what the Dominus goes for.
So, I mean, it's like equivalent to, in Magic terms, like getting a Judge promo versus a regular version or a Masterpiece version, really.
If you're talking about like Forge World versus plastic kits, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Except the Forge World, no one likes resin. No one wants resin.
It's harder to put together, right? Like
It is. It's harder to put together.
Yeah.
You gotta paint it like with special attention because it doesn't absorb paint very well.
Got it. Okay.
But yeah, no, super excited about Cerastus Knights coming to plastic. I'm gonna hold off on buying it until the new Codex, 10th edition Codex drops for Chaos Knights, just because I'm thinking we might get some more unique sculpts, which means maybe we get a unique Cerastus sculpt. I don't know.
Got it.
I don't know. I have no idea, but I want one real bad.
This one here, the one that you have the image of, is this a Lancer, right?
This is the Lancer.
This is really damn cool. I mean, like this is impressive looking.
I think this is my favorite of the Cerastus frame knights. This thing is like as tall as a small child. This is huge.
Really? That big?
Yeah. This is I'm pretty sure it's over a foot tall.
Oh wow. Okay.
One of the guys I play with at the game store has like a whole group of Forge World Knights, and he fielded them all one day. It was huge. Like this thing took over the table.
Like, well, so let me ask this question. A little offshoot question now is so obviously when they're gigantic like that, the bases take up more squares. Do squares matter? I thought squares mattered, but let me maybe pose that question to you. Maybe it doesn't. Like, how does that work out?
The bigger your base size, and not just base size, but your so with a large model, you typically end up with like the Titanic keyword, which means you do not get the benefit of cover. So that's a big deal.
Right, okay.
And also, with a huge base like that, you also have some issues where you have trouble navigating around terrain. And it's easier for opponents to come in and block off, to move block you. Like, they can plop a bunch of soldiers in front of you so you can't move in a certain direction.
Got it. Okay, so there's advantages, but then there's some disadvantages.
There's some major disadvantages. Now, knights are balanced to make up for that with having disgusting firepower. Like, that's their whole thing.
Got it. Okay.
Like, I'm not gonna be able to move as well. I really can't take cover, but I'm gonna murder you. I'm coming.
Are they generally ranged in that way or no? Meaning ranged attacks, or is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Lots of range attacks. Knights. So I don't play Imperial, but as I understand it, Imperial Knights typically skew more towards guns than melee. And the Chaos Knights that I play have a lot more melee. They do have guns, and they have some good guns, but there's a lot more melee prowess in them.
Okay. Got
it. Chaos Knights also are the only ones capable of psychic powers because they're connected to the warp. I don't think there's any psychic at all in the Imperial Knights.
Okay. Yeah, eventually I'll have to learn more about what psychic powers and all that stuff. I don't want to know. I don't want to dive into it now, but
not ready.
That's a whole nother that's a next level thing for me.
And the main event of Warhammer Fest 2023 is the reveal of the 10th edition Leviathan launch box for 40K.
That was not leaked by a YouTuber and subsequently hired by Games Workshop Pinkerton to go retrieve it.
No, there were no Pinkertons involved in the Leviathan launch.
Sorry, I had to throw that out there.
You remember the Commander Dante whoopsie, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, that was Games Workshop handles those sorts of mess ups so much better than Hasbro does.
Well, I mean, in retrospect, I imagine if this entire box was revealed ahead of time, they might have had a different reaction.
Maybe so.
But yes, there was a very different reaction to that accidental oops.
Yeah, it would have went from cool paint job, bro, to maybe actual Pinkertons. Who knows? So the 40K 10th edition launch box was revealed, and it is stacked. There are what did the official stats say? Something like 40-something models in there. It's really good.
40 models. Holy smokes.
Yeah, well, to be fair, a lot of that is Tyranids, because Tyranids is it's a swarm faction, so there's a lot of like little, like, there's Tormagants and Neurogants, or I don't want to talk about, there's Tormagants and other types of Gaunts in there that are like all the little swarm Tyranids. So there's like a bajillion of them.
There's a lot of Gons. Is what
a lot
saying.
Of Gaunts, yeah.
A lot of guns. I mean, guns? No, not guns. Gons? What?
Gaunts. Gaunts.
Or guns. Which one?
Yes, so the number says miniatures are divided into 25 Space Marines and 47 Tyranids.
Wow.
That's 72 total models in this box.
So Tyranids remind me, and you tell me if I'm wrong, but if we talk about StarCraft terms,
yes,
Zerglings.
That's what they are.
Okay.
That's absolutely what they are. Okay. Mixed with a little bit of Xenomorph in there.
Okay, so okay, got it.
That's exactly what they are.
So if Zerg is my faction in StarCraft. Even though I play, even though I sort of gravitate to Space Marines, probably if I ever got into it, Tyranids would probably end up being my faction if there's any correlation to Zerg.
Well, I will be buying up a bunch of these, so if you come over and we have a Warhammer night, you can decide if you like them.
All right.
I did post, if you go over to the other Discord, I think I did post a whole bunch of screenshots, if you want to look at those as I talk about them. Because that was when I was up at 3 a.m. watching the live stream.
Yeah, in the general, yeah, I saw that. Yeah, some of those look pretty dang cool. Like, I'm gonna tell you, this Ballistus Dreadnought, holy smokes, that thing is smoking. I like it.
Oh yeah, it's a beautiful Dreadnoughts. So the Dreadnoughts, I'll cover it. We're getting ahead of putting the cart before the horse.
All right. You go.
All right, so almost everything in this box is a new model. A lot of what's in the box is actually new units, brand new to the game. More so in the Tyranid side than the Space Marine side, but I'm pretty sure everything in the box is a new model, a new sculpt for 10th edition at the very least.
Okay.
So start with the Tyranid half. We have, let's see here, a new unit, kind of. So you got the Tyranid Prime with wings. The Tyranid Prime was basically just it was a Tyranid warrior with a hat in 9th edition. And now they actually dolled it up a little bit. They gave it wings, which is new. It didn't have wings before. So a Tyranid Prime with wings is in the box. We've got another new unit that they had previously revealed called Von Ryan's Liebers, which is it's a unit of lictors. Usually lictors are just single hero units.
What
But this one comes in groups,
what
which
are
is terrifying.
what do they lick?
Whatever they can get their tentacles on. Completely new unit, the Psychophage, which might be my favorite model in this entire box.
Is it psychophage or psychophage?
It's the Psychophage.
Phage.
You can say Psychophage if you want. It's still gonna have tentacles and teeth either way. It's a giant Cthulhu spider that is, I believe, eating a space marine on
Yeah,
the model.
that's what it looks like. Yes.
There's a lot of that in these new models, which is pretty cool. There's a bunch of space marines that are like stomping on a Tyranid carcass, and there's a lot of Tyranid stuff that's like eating a space marine. It's really fun.
When you get to it, I can tell you what my new favorite model is that I think is the one. But
Okay.
we'll get there.
All right. Next we've got the another new unit. They introduced 2 new types of gaunts in for 10th edition. So before you had the Termagants, which were the little guys with guns, and you had the Hormagaunts, which were the little guys with claws. Now we have Barb Gaunts, which are little gaunts with big like cannons on their backs. So they're like artillery swarm units, which is really interesting to me.
Well, I think the spikes on them would reminiscent of like barbed wire kind of thing, right? Or like spiked wire.
Oh, I could see that.
That's probably where they get their name, maybe.
I don't actually know. I mean, a lot of Tyranids have that kind of like insectoid crenellation on them.
Okay.
You can see it on the Tormagaunts too, and the Neurogaunts. The Neurogaunts being the next one. Blind psychic gaunts that, from the description from Games Workshop, are basically just bodyguard drones.
Mm-hmm.
Like you take a unit of these and you surround a character with them, and they like jump in front of bullet fire. Is kind of their entire purpose for existing. Then we've got the Neuro Tyrant.
This is the one.
This is the one. You like this one? This is a good
the one. And you know why? You know why this is the one?
Why is that?
So I really like Eldrazi in Magic the Gathering, right?
Uh-huh. This is a straight up Eldrazi.
This is straight up Eldrazi to me.
All right. We'll find you a Neuro Tyrant.
This sucker is it's cool. It's cool.
It's very cool.
It's cool.
Big, squishy, heavy psychic. It's supposed to be like because we had the Zoanthropes and the Neurothropes were like smaller versions of kind of this idea. They kind of looked like what those 2 flanking models looked like. So this is just like a giant Thrope unit, just big and all psychic.
Like
Then,
I actually I could actually see this as like this big one, and like as pictured, I could actually see this on like display as like an actual display. That'd be pretty cool, and I would call it Emrakul.
call it Emrakul. I bet you could get a paint job that was very like pale and a little silvery. Yeah. And the other major models, so there's a whole bunch of Tormagaunts. I didn't have any picture posted for that, but there is a bunch of Tormagaunts with the new Tormagaunt sculpt in this. There's a couple Ripper Swarms, which are just like a token unit that come along with some of those Gaunts. They look like little chest bursters.
Okay.
And the final one is a brand new sculpt of the Screamer Killer model. A lot of people online are making fun of it. They think it looks like a bald man.
Yeah,
but I think this thing looks sick. I love this model.
It kind of gives me Doom vibes.
Oh, very Doom. Very Doom.
Yeah, so it gives me like Doom vibes, and so I think it's pretty cool looking.
47 Tyranid models.
Is that a lot?
That's a lot of models.
Okay.
So basically the way the Leviathan box is supposed to work is it's supposed to basically be 2 combat patrols, one for each faction. The combat patrols usually being like the starter collecting box for your faction. The combat patrol last year for Tyranids, I think it had a winged Hive Tyrant in it. It had like a unit of 5 warriors and it had like a bunch of Tormagons, and there was something like maybe 30 models in that. This one's got 47. It's
Okay.
that and a half.
Yeah, that's pretty big. So that's be a pretty big and heavy box. So let me ask you this, for folks who may not know, like me, when you get this like starter box, does it come with a book? So I know like the Blood Bowl or Blood Bowl, yeah, Blood Bowl. That comes with a book, like the rule book and what have you. It does when you purchase this kit. Does it come with a book for the rules, or is it like separate?
You will the launch box for the edition will actually come, and we'll get into that. It does come with a special edition rule book that's got like a whole bunch of like extra art in it and everything too.
Okay.
Um, so the combat patrols that you get normally don't come with anything but the models.
Okay.
Sometimes you'll have like when a faction releases, they'll get what's like an army box, and that'll have like a special edition of the codex for that faction in there.
Okay.
The codexes, the 10th edition codexes don't exist yet. They're not released. So there won't be any codexes in the launch box, but you will get a special edition 10th edition rule book.
Got it. Okay.
Among some other accoutrements.
So that's going to be a heavy, beefy, massive box.
Yeah. They mentioned in the Q&A that the price for this was going to be about $250 US.
Well, that's not bad.
No, it's actually really good. I've already got myself on a pre-order list for this through my game store, and my buddy and I are splitting the box. He's taking the Space Marines, I'm taking the Tyranids, and I'm going to throw a little extra in there and keep the book.
So okay, let's put this in perspective really quick, right? So if you were to get a book, so to speak, a book is like $50, right?
Yep.
Okay. And then, if I remember correctly, like just to get a faction kit, like faction kits are roughly about like $70-$80 usually, right?
A lot of the times, yeah, somewhere between $55 and $80 depending what you're getting. The
Right.
bigger stuff, so like this, the Tyranids here have some bigger monsters. Those can be upwards of $100
So really,
individually.
this 10th edition box is pretty darn good value.
This is a pretty good value, especially given that Games Workshop has said they're trying to increase their prices because inflation or whatever.
Gotcha.
Like, typically the combat patrol. So I talked about the combat patrols usually being how you intro into a faction.
Mhm.
Those are around $150, $160 a piece. So
Wow.
right there,
Okay.
you've already got like $320 worth of value in this launch box, not counting the special edition rulebook and all the other there's some other stuff in here besides. For $250 US.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I signed up for one. I think my buddy and I were talking about grabbing one before it was even like revealed. All right, so for the Space Marine half of the Leviathan box, what did they put in here? Space Marines get a new sculpt for a Captain in Terminator armor, which is looking pretty good. They get what I thought was a new unit, but I think it might actually already exist somewhere, like with a really old sculpt called the Infernus Squad, which is a group of regular Space Marines with flamethrowers.
Okay.
That'll be really useful for like your Salamanders players, etc.
Flamethrowers are cool.
There's a new sculpt of the Stern. What is this? The Stern Guard Veteran Squad, which I think is like an elite unit made up of veterans from different eras and different factions all together. A brand new unit called the Apothecary Biologus. This is, to me, probably the most interesting unit in this box. So, 10th edition, one of the things that they're adding to the game is something called the anti-keyword. The anti-keyword gives your weapon advantage against a certain type of enemy. So, for example, you can have a weapon that's anti-tank, something that's maybe, you can even have anti-factions. So, like, the Grey Knights will probably have a lot of anti-demon weapons. So whenever they're fighting demons, they'll get rerolls. The way this Apothecary Biologist works in theory, from what Games Workshop described, is his job is to scour the battlefield figure out what you're fighting against, and give you anti-buffs towards it, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, again, for somebody who doesn't truly understand it all, I think if you think of, like debuffs or in Final Fantasy TCG, or if you think of interrupts in MTG, the good ones like that are played regularly, like you can't go wrong with they're generally like an automatic 4 of kind of thing,
Yep.
Like lightning bolt, for instance, right?
One thing I forgot to post a picture of is they also have the new Librarian and Terminator armor that they revealed a few weeks ago. That's also in the box. This was one where it's like, I do not play Space Marines, but I love this model.
Yeah, I think this is the one that is this the one that got, I don't know, is this the one that we saw early? Maybe this is not the one we saw.
Oh, the one that got revealed on accident?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, okay.
But they did show it off a few weeks ago.
Okay.
They showed off some of the Tyranid stuff a few weeks ago, too.
Yeah, I think this is one of the ones that I mentioned in one of our episodes, and I was like, oh, yeah, I would totally put this on the shelf behind me. You're like, okay, I think we need to narrow this down a bit.
That's what I'm saying. Like, give me a bulleted list, because you've said 2 or 3 times now, this is the one.
Emrakul is the one.
Emrakul is the one.
It
so
is
far.
the one. It is the one.
Well, don't forget the lion. You were all up in arms about the lion.
Oh, yes. Oh, dang it.
That's the Dark Angels faction where Space Marine meets Knights of the Round Table.
Yes, I forgot about that one. All right. I'll have to revisit the list.
I'll send you some. I have a better idea of what you like now, so I'll send you some good models.
Okay.
Also, you get Lieutenant and Phobos armor. This is another one they showed off a while ago, where he's like stomping on a Tyranid.
I think I remember this one.
This guy right there.
Yes. Yeah. I remember this one.
You've got a squad of the new Terminator sculpt, and these all look really cool.
Is this different from the Terminator that we saw, or that you introduced me to last? Like, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago.
It's that one.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
okay.
those Terminators.
Okay.
So it looks like I don't have screenshots for some of these because they already showed them off before, so they didn't like make an interest in showing them again. But yeah, these were the ones that were in the cinematic trailer.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. You get a squad of those.
Yes. Cool.
And then the one you already pointed out as awesome, the Ballistus Dreadnought.
Yeah. That sucker is pretty cool.
So dreadnoughts are they're a pretty common Space Marine. I think they're a vehicle technically. There's just like a walker with some sort of weapon loadout. Most of the time, dreadnoughts have melee weapons.
Mm-hmm.
They'll have like hammers or big like chain fists or something. Sometimes they'll maybe have like a missile launcher attachment, but very rarely. I think this is the first time they've had a dreadnought that's completely ranged.
Okay.
Because this one's got like a double las cannon and a missile launcher on it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the reason why I really like kind of like pinged at this one, or really was like, yeah, this one's cool, is it really gives me Final Fantasy vibes, right? With some of the different the different enemies that are in Final Fantasy. It's very reminiscent of that. So that's one of the biggest reasons.
Do you know the lore behind dreadnoughts?
I don't actually. I don't.
So a dreadnought is basically a walking coffin.
Oh.
Yep. Space Marine dies on the battlefield, and they go, service doesn't end after death. They throw you inside a dreadnought and keep you going.
All right.
You still serve the Emperor.
Nice.
Tyranids, they just eat you.
Yum, 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 yum.
So that there, all that, again, for reportedly $250 US, is an amazing deal. But that's not
yeah.
all, because you've got the special edition Leviathan book, which includes an entire copy of the 10th edition rulebook, as
But
well as.
but wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more. Where to go? Where to go? Leviathan book contains the following sections. A whole section showing off the hobby side, so paints and tools and how to enjoy the hobby side. Uh, a Dark Imperium background. So, yes. So the Leviathan book is a beautiful hardcover book with artwork of the new Terminator sculpt on it. Has a whole section at the beginning about how to hobby, what that's like. It's got a bunch of lore stuff about the Imperium and the forces of the 41st millennium. It's got the 10th edition core rules, which, by the way, are page numbered separately, so that that section of the book will match the rule book that gets released later. So you can cross-reference between them; they'll be the same page. That what I thought was a cool, nice, practical touch. Then they have something called Combat Patrol Rules, which was something I don't know if we've talked about yet that 10th edition is trying to do. So we talked about those Combat Patrol boxes where you get like a small number of units to start collecting a faction.
Yeah.
They're typically a very small point cost, a small amount of models that makes up around 500 points usually, whereas most games are tuned for anywhere between 1,000 and 3,000 points. So what they tried to do for 10th edition was create some special rules so that 500 point combat patrols would all be balanced against each other and have an arena to fight in. So they've got combat patrol rules, presumably for not only just that whole sub game,
Mm-hmm.
but the way that they affect the Space Marines and the Tyranids, because that's what's in the box.
Got it. Okay.
Then also in this book is Crusade rules, which is the narrative side. So you can say it's like an extended D&D campaign, but with Warhammer battles.
But
So
the way it's pictured here, it looks like it's a separate book, or is it?
this is all in Leviathan, but what they're making a point to say is that Crusade rules going forward will be broken out into their own books. So they will be like D&D, like actual D&D campaigns, like you would get in a separate book on the shelf. Previously, Crusade rules were tacked into faction codexes. So, like, when I got my World Leaders Codex, there was a section for World Leaders Crusade at the back of that codex. Those will no longer be in the codex, they're going to be a separate thing. Which begs the question, what is actually going to be in the codex now? Because codexes are still coming. They showed off a roadmap. We have codexes coming. But if with all the rules are going to be free online, what's actually going to be in the codex?
Well, and I think this is one of the things, if I remember correctly, we kind of, and I kind of asked, because again, the ignorant part of my understanding of this game, right? Like, because I'm not fully in depth, but like everything of the core base of the game becomes that real thing, it's the cemented core rules, right? But it's the add-on stuff that you have a choice whether you want to play it or not is what they will be producing in those codexes, instead of the core base perspective of, hey, this is how you play the game if you're playing all these factions.
I think what's more likely is that the codexes are going to... They'll still exist similar to what we see today, where they'll have more lore, more rules. They'll have more lore, more art, and rules. I think they're still going to keep the rules for free, because if they didn't, then people would just be like, okay, well, we'll use Wahapedia then. This is the entire reason you put the rules online, is so we stopped using Wahapedia. So yeah, the way the codexes are now is you get some extra lore with some short stories written, you get a bunch of art, and then you get your faction rules, and then you get Crusade rules. Crusade rules are coming out, they're going to be their own thing, which makes sense. That's another way for them to make money. They can sell them as D&D style inserts. Not everybody wants campaign rules anyway.
Mm-hmm.
The rules, I think, are still going to be free online. because it doesn't make sense not to. You can't really have alternate versions of the game. That doesn't work for Warhammer. And if you choose to let your rules online become deprecated, well, people are just going to go to Wahapedia then and get the latest rules for free anyway. So I think what they're counting on is they're just saying, here's the lore, here's the art, here's the rules if you want them in paper. We know some of you still like having physical paper, so we're going to make it an option. I will be one of those people who still buys the book for that reason.
But so you don't think there'll be optional
No.
ancillary rule sets that you could use?
No, the game is just too complicated for that to be feasible.
Okay.
That's just not a thing for Warhammer.
That's fair.
So all that to say, one more small thing that's in this box, we have mission cards. There's something called Tempest of War that currently exists for Warhammer, which is you have, instead of choosing secondary missions at the beginning of the game, you have a deck with randomized missions in it that you flip up during the game to see what are my secondary objectives. So it looks like that's coming back in 10th and being packaged in the launch box with some pretty cool card art.
Would that be reminiscent or in parallel with like things like Plane Chase, where you have the Plane Chase cards?
Sort of, yeah. So the way Warhammer works is you've got your board, and usually, depending what game type you're playing, you usually have your board and some number of objectives. And your primary objective is almost always hold at least one objective, hold at least two objectives, hold more objectives than your opponent, and you score victory points that way.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not just about killing your opponent, it's about amassing victory points. Because the end of the game can come and neither side will be defeated wholly, necessarily.
Oh, so it's very different than like say StarCraft then. That way.
Yeah, the game's not over when you defeat the opponent. The game is over when at the end of round 5 you have more victory points than them. So your primary objective is to hold those spaces on the board to accrue points. Then each player also typically has secondary objectives, which vary depending on which faction you're playing. So like for World Leaders, for example, my secondary objectives are things like use a melee weapon to kill someone when they're on the point. That gets me extra victory points.
Got it. Okay.
So, but the Tempest of War then says, don't worry about your faction secondaries. We're going to do random mission secondaries, which is a way to kind of, mix things up and keep it fresh. It's a fun way to play. And it's pretty cool that they're embracing it and putting it in the launch box.
Yeah, I mean, I think anything, look, I mean, again, not somebody who plays this game. I recognize a value where you see it, I smell it, I look at it, and I'm like, wow, there's some pretty tremendous value in this box.
There is a ton in this box. I would not be surprised if this gets scalped really hard.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. We've had some issues with scalping recently, partially because of, the supply chain issues that's been affecting everybody. So we've had things like World Eaters have had some scalping problems because they were a new faction that just came out. Leagues of Votann had some scalping issues where, like, you still can't find any Hearthguard for Votann anywhere. They're just not on shelves. World Leaders had a similar issue with 8-bound for a while. I actually am lucky enough that our game store has a bunch of 8-bound, but I know that there's a lot of places in the UK specifically where that kit just doesn't exist.
Oh. Okay.
And they're being bought up and scalped online because of that. So I would not be surprised if just because of the immense value in this box, if we see something like, unless you're on a pre-order like I am, you're just not going to find it, but it's going to go online for like $500.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. For somebody who again doesn't play Warhammer, I might decide to pick up one of these boxes just to have. To be honest with you, I feel like yes, as of today, I don't play Warhammer, but I think as as you continue to sort of pull me into this world, I do feel that I will feel differently at some point for sure.
Now, again, keep in mind, I have like 3 or 4 factions. I'm buying this box. I will have the book, so we'll have the rules stuff. You could come try before you buy. We'll just hang out, we'll build, we'll paint, we'll play, and you can decide, oh, this is way too much, or I definitely want to do this. And then you can spend your whatever scalper prices are for a launch box.
Thank you for listening to our latest episode. You can comment on this and other episodes at galaxygametv.com. Be sure to check out our YouTube channel and follow us on Twitch for additional gaming content. Also, if you want to support our show or Galaxy Game TV, check out our Patreon for exclusive content and great giveaways to our supporters. Until next time, we bid you farewell.